Hello everyone. This is the second video of the speech Come September by Arundhati Roy. In the first video, we talked about Arundhati Roy as an artist and as an activist. We talked about the various social, political and environmental movements she was part of. We also talked about the fictional and non-fictional works that she wrote. In this video, we will deal with the first part of the speech Come September. The theme of all of Arundhati Roy's writings is about the relationship between power and powerlessness. At the very outset of the speech itself, Arundhati Roy assures us that this speech is not a way of putting forward an absolutist ideology to the people. She says that she believes, most of the writers do believe, that there are different ways of seeing. There are umpteen ways of seeing. And she says that this is her own way of seeing the world that she lives in. Every day she wakes up to the horrors of life. Every day she wakes up to the realities of life. And this is a way, or this speech is a way of expressing her own view of the world. We are living in a world where single stories are being told, absolutist ideologies are being injected into the people by authority. In this particular world, Arundhati Roy becomes a voice of the pluralities in the plural world, of the multiple voices in the plural world. In this particular speech, Arundhati Roy talks about power, about the ruthlessness of power, about the paranoia and the physics of power. People around the globe can be divided into two categories. On the one hand, you have people who have a very comfortable relationship with power. You have the perspective of the maddened king of the administration who cannot hear the whisperings in the servants' quarters. The perspective of the privileged group of people. The privileged group of people cannot hear the words of the world's subjects. On the other hand, we have people who really have an adversarial relationship with power. People who are engaged in the business of resisting the power. Both the category, people who are on the powerful side do have their own physics, and who are not on the side of power, are not privileged, do have their own ways of resisting power. So the whole of the social and cultural system is based on power and powerlessness. The accumulation of power, be it by an individual, be it by an institution, a corporation, a state, a nation, whatever it is quite dangerous for any society. What is the relationship between the state and the citizen? Who is a citizen? Who is foreign? Whom do you call a citizen? Whom do you call foreign? Whom do you address as national? Whom do you address as anti-national? What is the criteria by which nationalism and anti-nationalism is being defined? Who defines these terms? See, the definition of nationalism and anti-nationalism are very loaded. Take the case of India, for example. India is a nation where nationalism is inclusive in nature. You of course have lots of countries where nationalism is exclusive in nature, but India is a country where nationalism is inclusive in nature. Arundhati Roy in this particular speech says that those people who have expressed their views regarding societal issues, say for example the issue regarding nuclear bombs, big dams, corporate globalization, communal Hindu fascism, etc., views which would be at variance with the governmental policies are being labeled as anti-national. And this too in a country where nationalism, this happens in a country where nationalism amounts to killing, amounts to abusing, amounts to jailing and dumping people into detention camps just because they belong to one particular religion, where rivers and cows are being awarded with citizenship status and human beings are being denied of citizenship. Do we call this nationalism? People who are voicing for themselves, for their own needs, for their own necessities, for their own livelihood are being labeled as anti-national. Now we need to see what is nationalism and what is anti-nationalism. Who is an anti-national? The definition goes like this. An anti-nationalist is a person who is against one's own country and supports another country. The concept of nationalism is very problematic in the sense that nationalism has resulted in lots and lots of genocides, lynchings and massacres throughout the 20th century. The concept of nationalism itself is made to shrink the thought process of the people, where we need to be very much suspicious about the concept of nationalism as such. In a country where intellectuals, independent thinking people, filmmakers, musicians, painters, etc. rally under the flag of nationalism, suspending their thought process, suspending the whole of their rationality, we need to worry in such a kind of a situation. So in this kind of a situation, it's very dangerous, and we need to worry. We need to become troublesome. We need to become anarchic. Now Arundhati Roy moves to another two concepts, pro and anti-American. Whom do you call anti-American? Anti-American is a term which is used to define the critics of America's corporate, capitalistic, authoritarian policies. See, Arundhati Roy uses lots of rhetorical questions to mock at the idea of anti-Americanism. What does the term anti-American mean? Does it mean that you are anti-jazz? Does it mean that you do not love to read Toni Morrison? Does it mean that you do not like John Updike? These are some kinds of rhetorical questions she poses so as to mock at the very concept of pro and anti-American. You of course may love the physical beauty of America, the music, the jazz there, the literature there. You may take delight in reading Toni Morrison or John Updike. You may love and admire thousands of Americans who marched against nuclear weapons. You may admire those thousands of people, strong people who resisted America's occupation of Vietnam. But then you are labeled an anti-American if you speak against American government's foreign policies. In that sense, you even have lots of anti-Americans in America itself. Arundhati Roy talks about the free press. Free press, which is the most unfree thing in institution in America. America is a strangely insular place where press and the people do not really want to know anything beyond themselves. They are very much cocooned inside their comfort zones. They do not want to think anything beyond, know anything beyond their comfort zones. They do not care about what happens in Iraq, what happens in Latin America, what happens in Palestine, what happens in Vietnam. They just want to lead a very happy, cozy kind of a life. They are seldom aware about, they seldom care about what American government is up to, what are the authoritarian policies that the American government is doing against the rest of the world. And they are the people who are living with the bubbles of advertisements and no information at all. See, you have lots and lots of roarings of advertisements inside that you do not hear the whisperings of the rest of the world. But then in America itself, you have so many independent thinking people who are against America's foreign policy. Like if you want to know the real America, if you want to know something about America, you can turn to Noam Chomsky, Edward Said, Howard Zinn, Ed Herman, Amy Goodman, etc., to name a few people. There are lots and lots of US citizens who really think that, or who really know that, who really understand that they are not co-conspirators in this empire building. These are people who really understand the totalitarian, the authoritarian, the corporate views of the American government. They actually listen to the world. They listen to other voices, other people. Then Arundhati Roy moves on to talk about the horrors which has turned out to be a reality now. Kashmir has been mapped off from India, and genocide which was so very rampant in Gujarat has spread all across India, where you have lynchings which has become the order of the time in the name of religion, in the name of caste, in the name of culture, in the name of food and whatnot. When Arundhati Roy says that it's absurd to think that those people who criticize the Indian government's policies could be called anti-national. Now when we think from sitting in our house or in 2020, when we think about it, when we think about what Arundhati Roy has said in 2002, this has turned out to be a very horrible reality we are living right now. Now, who defines who is an Indian? Who defines who is not an Indian? Who defines who is an American or an anti-American? Has the government got the power to do so? What are the yardsticks which are being used to call somebody an Indian, a foreign, a national, anti-national, American, anti-American, etc.? Pro and anti are two parts of binaries. It's only people who are so very caught up with the binaries that they seldom see the gray areas in between. Arundhati Roy talks about a scenario where you are either a supporter or an opposer, pro or anti, Bushy or Taliban, or if not love, then you hate, if not good, then you are evil, if not with us, then you are against us, that means you are a terrorist. This concept Arundhati Roy calls as racist and a failure of imagination. People who go with these binaries are unable to see the world in terms other than what the establishment has set for them. In the coming part, we'll be talking about September 11 and the relevance of September 11, not only for America but for the rest of the world. We'll talk about that in the coming video. Thank you.